now let's go ahead and get started. And a warm welcome. We're going to take all of your questions, but let's take a volunteer. I want to start off talking about the features by doing some testing. Let's go ahead. All right. So we are live streamed properly. Let's go ahead and take a volunteer. If you're someone, maybe you're feeling a little weary or a little bit tired, you can volunteer, and I will show the new features on the new version by doing a scan on you. And so you can receive the benefit and understand it. You know, when you learn it in person, you see it, you experience it, then you learn it faster. So if we want to volunteer, let's see if anybody will volunteer for this. So warm welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. If anybody is willing to volunteer to get a scan right now, we'll show you it on our new version. We can even get you the new version link. If you want to download the beta and use it over the weekend, we'll be happy to do that. So if somebody wants some frequencies, also, I just want to remind you that we're still offering a discount for the Business Launchpad. So the Business Launchpad is a turnkey way to start your business practice. If you want all the forms, the brochures, the business card templates, then take this course. And I'm going to show you how to just start automating your business, start collecting money as a genius practitioner. You do not need a health background. You just need the willingness to learn and conduct yourself in a professional manner and finding the red and blue items for your client and exporting them to the capsule. So definitely check out the Business Launchpad. It starts on Thursday of next week, and it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful class for anybody who even thinking about starting a business in the future. You should definitely attend this class. We still have a discount available, the discount code available. We held it over. And we just want you to get into the class. So you can still use the code LAUNCH, get in there, get the $100 discount, because it's too important to miss. You're going to get the information about creating recurring income for yourself, where your subscribers pay you a monthly amount to send them frequencies to their Quanta capsule. They're going to see a great change in their life, better sleep, more energy. They're going to feel different. You're going to have a growing, thriving business. So please join our Business Launchpad. We really look forward to the great strides that people will make from being a part of this course. Okay, Jing, you're up. So I'm actually just going to invite you on, and maybe we can get your voice. If possibly voice and picture, it's completely up to you how you want to participate. So let's just go ahead and invite you up here. If you want to just do voice, that's fine. If you want to join us by video feed, great. It's completely up to you. A warm welcome to everybody joining us. We're recording this and we're live streaming it to YouTube, so you can jump off and get onto YouTube if you need to. And in just a moment, we're going to be showcasing all the features from our new version of the Genius. So we're just going to be ready to do that in just a moment. We have lots of new rich features. This update took over a year to complete, and the developer did not want to release it until he was ready to release it. So we're going to showcase a total scan from beginning to end, and we're going to go through the features as we show that. So just while you're here, remember that geniusbiofeedback.com, we have a new logo that really, they did a great job showing balance, showing the connection to nature. And this is meant to show the waves of the voice. So we have a beautiful new logo that you'll see around our different social media. We also have reorganized the website, hopefully to make it much easier for people to see all the different things that we have, the latest packages, a new learning page so people can more easily learn about all our educational resources. So we've really been working hard to make things better, and especially for your referrals, for people to come here and to see everything that we have available. So thank you so much, and check out the website and learn all the different menus and things that we offer on there. Now, Jing, over to you. Let's go ahead and see if we can capture your voice and picture. So Jing, how are you?
Good. Can you hear me?
Yes. Do you want to just go by audio feed or audio and picture, or audio and camera? It's up to you.
Well, I try to uncross this start
okay,
video.
let me do it from here. Let me do it from here. I think I have to. Oh, what the heck is going on here? Make host, change role. Oh, it must be your camera, because it won't let me Yeah, don't worry about it. Let's just get your voice so that we can just get things rolling. How are you doing?
Great. I'm doing great.
Okay. And still seeing clients, working with clients, or have you been busy with other projects this summer?
Well, I'm on June 21st, my dad passed away.
Oh, I'm so
so
sorry to hear that, Jing.
yeah, thank you. And that after everything I finished, I have a lot of free time, so I really focus on my business. I have more clients. I'm pretty busy.
Okay,
My clients,
good.
my quantum biofeedback clients, and
I'm glad to
enjoy
hear
doing
that. And I'm glad that you're getting your focus back, and definitely sending you prayers and good energy. I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's send you, on that note, let's send you some energy today.
Okay.
And to do that, let's go ahead and get your voice. So you know how to do this.
Yes.
Now, for everyone who's watching, you're going to see a new, really cool tracking of the formants of the voice in the new voice analysis that you see up here on the screen. So for everybody who's joining us, what we're working with is the beta version of the new version. And in just a moment, we can share that link. Anybody will tell you how to download it, but you should only download it if you're technically savvy and you're willing to deal with some bumps along the way. If not, you can just wait until Monday when we're going to upload this version for everyone. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and just a moment, I'll count down and I'll record your voice in 3, 2, 1. I'm recording.
Jing, A-E-I-O-U. Jing, A-E-I-O-U. A-E-I-O-U. A-E.
Okay, that's perfect. Okay, so it gives us a little prompt. And the good thing about these prompts is that we will be able to just check this box and it truly will disappear. Okay, now, Jing, is there anything that we should focus on for you?
The inflammation in my body.
Inflammation? So you're having some pain, feelings of inflammation?
Oh yeah, well, because years of playing tennis and injuries, so that's how I got the inflammation.
All right, that sounds very good. So I'm going to let you sit back and enjoy, and I'll check in with you in a little bit, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for volunteering, and thanks for being one of our wonderful, talented practitioners and part of our genius community. Okay. So what we're going to do, so this is how it looks. Let's see what we've got here. If we got our spotlight somewhere. There we go. All right. Yes, there we go. Okay, so this is going to show like a scatter diagram of the different formants and put it onto a graph. And they've quantified the formants here. Now, we do not have yet any information about what the formants mean and how we should differentiate from report to report. I am going to bug the developer, and you can bug him too, like, hey, what do you have? Disclose what you have on this information. But what a formant is, and what we're seeing is FO, F1, F2, F3, F4, F5. These are the unique imprints of the voice. And so it shows you that the voice recorder or the voice scanner listens to the voice several times, which is why the clip is so long. And it looks at, so just like it would look at a fingerprint, it's looking and listening to the unique parts of a person's voice. And that's why the genius is so spot on when we look at the results and the things going on with the person. So we're definitely going to get more information in the future. Now, what you can do is you can actually take this, I think, well, it may not be up and running. I think you can actually, that was set so you could share it with someone. So it should be able to share that, I think, if you wanted to share the actual voice print. Now, the voice harmonics is still here. The voice harmonics is something I often don't utilize on the classes. And we'll see if the volume is actually working on this. There might be crashes. If so, I'll just have to log back in. Remember, this is still in beta. But the voice harmonics is created in order to create like a homeopathic feedback of the person's own voice. So it sort of feeds it back to them in a simillimum way, in a way to like cures like, in a way to clear the deck. So if somebody was stressed coming into your office, or even stressed getting on the Zoom with you, or whatever it might be, you can do them a service at the beginning of the scan by playing the voice harmonics as a way to clear everything out and to start on a more level playing field with your client. So let's see if it plays. A little bit. Sounds a little, no, it sounds about the same. So it's a very strange tone, and it's not timed as far as I know. So you just play it for a couple of seconds and then that's it. And then you go on. So we would go on to the next. Let's see what happens when we go view all. Okay, these are the results. The results reflect the dominant voice formats for your client. The voice formats are used in the calculation of genius results. This information offers no insight into your client's current state of health. They have to say that, but of course it does. It cannot be used for any evaluation process, but it does mean something. But we need to have the developer share with us more about the general observations about what the formats mean. Remember, formats are like a fingerprint. It's very unique to you. And they even talk about formats in music. It's the most unique parts of the music. It's the most unique parts of your voice. Okay, so there's no need to, we already know, thank you, that, yes, we already know that Ryan was on Facebook and he did this, and thank you, Karen, really appreciate it, but we all know that. We're just going over, for anybody who missed that, we're actually taking that information, which can sometimes be a little confusing, and we're clarifying it. So thank you for that. All right, so let's keep on moving. Probably, unless links are approved, try to avoid putting them into the chat. We don't want to restrict the chat. So just keep the chat for now to questions that you have, particularly about the genius or something about this. It doesn't make any sense to come on here and then send somebody to another link when they're trying to focus on our class that we're having here, but we certainly do appreciate that. Okay, so then we've got the voice algorithm. It's done the analysis. So now we're going to go ahead and continue. There's nothing that's really going to change about the picture. We're going to skip that for now because we couldn't really get the camera to work. This energetic affirmation entrainment is the same. So we're going to go ahead and look at that. And we would just put an affirmation in here. So I'm just going to put here joy and love. And what it does is it plays the energy of joy and love in the background when we play any frequencies during the program. So far, very much the same. Let's go ahead and let's begin the analysis. We do see a little bit of a change here. We have this green button now versus a yellow button. The simple reason the color was changed is because it blends in too much with the yellow background that was of this female animation and other things in the program. So green just sort of pops out. And what is that timer bar? That timer bar is for our quick balance. So when you'd want to just run the reds and the blues from the genius on the system overview, you could choose the quick balance. And the quick balance is, the timer for the quick balance is right here. So if you wanted to move it up to 1 minute, you could do that. And that's 1 minute right here. And then it would, without having to place anything into your tray, it would play the frequencies for 1 minute. I think some of the visual effects, the visual look at the algorithm has been enhanced and enlarged. So it's a bigger aha moment. If you have a brick and mortar practice, or even if you have your client on a Zoom, the visual entertainment that you can give them, this can be sort of the visual, they get the effects from watching the algorithm, but they could also, you can also give them other things to watch. You could give them some type of sacred geometry animation that you get from YouTube or get elsewhere, and they can watch something while they're also receiving the frequency. So you get a lot of healing from what you're watching as well as what you're listening to. Okay, and so the timer bar has been enhanced as well. You can see it's counting down the time there. Let's go ahead now and let's stop that for now. So we'll go ahead and stop that. And you can see that there is some different colors. Ryan has brought back sort of this lavender background here in the system overview. I think it's perfectly fine. You can see everything very clearly. You can see all the lines clearly. I think that that's great. The first thing that we will view is some of the reports that have been created. So let's go ahead and let's drop down right here. So if we look at the different things that are going over here, and it does say custom libraries, Mardell. I'm not sure what you're asking about. We'll go back to your question in a moment. So it comes down, it has these icons here for overview, body, biofield, and mind. So let's go ahead and look at those. If we tap right here. So this gives us some reports. It looks like they're still in process. And let's see if we get a scatter report. I think these are still being developed. We get a bubble report. We get a band report. We're going to find out more about these. Let's go to right here, the body. And so we have this report is giving us in the actual, let's go and let's look at the body itself. So if we looked at the body, it's giving us a report of what was red, what was yellow, what was green, and what was blue. So now let's go back to that report and let's look at it. So it is a visual expression of the different things that came up, but it looks like it's missing a red bar. So this is the kind of feedback we will have to give to the developer. I think we can tap on this in order to sort of see this more. You know, I'm not sure of the inherent value of this. I'm going to show you other reports that I think are have more value and meaning. But as far as being entertaining, being visually interesting, absolutely. It could be very visually interesting. It could be something fun to send to your client. And down here, it sort of summarizes what those results are. Let's go ahead and let's look at another one. So if we look at the biofield, it tells us this is the biofield. So you could sort of see a predominance of colors. You can see things on the graph. Let's go ahead and we can look at the mind, and it gives us another one for all of the mind. It looks like it's just showing I only see the flower essences. So it looks like it's taken the flower essences and given us a scattering of that. But this is what it's just the red, blues. And, it is sometimes interesting to see if there's a lot of reds or a lot of blues. If there's a predominance of blues, what we've seen over time is that's usually a sign of deficiency or depletion. Okay, so let's go ahead. So that's what that little drop down is right there. And not really, why did that happen? It just skipped right to libraries. Is there like a connection here? Okay, so I got you. Let's go ahead. So there's actually a little bit of a scan, sort of a chevron right here. And if we go over here, let's see what happens when we tap on custom. And we don't have anything happening here. And if we check on formats, it's giving. Wow, that's interesting. So it's giving us a graphic of her voice as she's saying the A-E-I-O-U. Still no information about what the actual meaning of that is. Now let's go to the general overview. So we're going to tap right here. We're going to general overview. So the first significant change that we have is everything will be scanned in general overview. Now, general overview is not a scan per se. It is more of an organizer. It's going to stack all the results that have been scanned from top to bottom. So let's go ahead and let's look and see what that looks like. So when we do this, you see it's pulling in every single library and it's testing it for Jing, and it's now putting all of them from top to bottom. So the very, very top, now I want to tell you why I think this can be very significant and helpful for you. And this comes out of a history of other biofeedback, quantum biofeedback programs and how they do their testing. So, we are pulling from many, many items. We have, over 1,200 libraries, in our geniusbiofeedback.com collection here. And in each of the libraries, there's anywhere from 50 to 100 items. So 1,200, times 100, you've got thousands and thousands of items that are now being tested from top to bottom. Now, this is an organizer. It's taking the highest score and stacking it all the way down to the lowest score. I think that is very helpful because now out of everything that we tested in the entire library, out of 1,200 libraries and thousands of items, it's very interesting because what came up for her is hypothalamic stem cells. So hypothalamic stem cells, there's something about, it kind of tells us in reverse, there's probably that's about 60, that's crazy. It's 60,000 items if we have about 50 average sub-libraries. That is absolutely amazing. So now it's able to organize all those together, and it's able to tell us that the highest level of priority of all of them was actually this particular hypothalamic stem cells. So as we age, we know that we have the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. And this HPA axis becomes dysregulated and distorted and doesn't work as well for the feedback loops as it should. And so the stem cells would be a way to regenerate. And it's interesting that that's coming up at the very, very top. So a new way of using the genius could be to observe this very highest level of prioritization in the general overview. It says lack of insulation in the home check and clear. So you could take that with a grain of salt. GMO intake affecting health. You've got sort of drawn to a certain mantra for the money magnetizing. Creativity and miracles. This is interesting. Generous space between the discs. Now, she talked about pain, playing tennis, you're constantly compressing on those discs in the sport. And so this is sort of an affirmation or a direction for generous space between the discs. So these are the highest level of prioritization that's coming up. And I think you're going to want to check this for your clients all the time and sort of find out, wow, out of all of these, what did the higher conscious, what did the innate intelligence say was the most important? Another one is cherry bark, the herb for asthma solutions. Complete body tune-up, something about the heart's ejection fraction being optimized. Is absolutely fascinating. So now we could actually go to the lowest blues because those will be significant. The lowest blues are actually the most compressed items. So let's go ahead here and go to the lowest blues. So now we go down here to the very lowest items, see if there's anything lower. So we're going in the wrong direction. So the lowest one is going to be, the lowest score looks like it's 6. So the lowest score of 6 out of 60,000 items was the bladder meridian. So that, I would say, I would write that down. That could be a very important meridian to work on in general. When you ask for prioritization, you tend to get very significant information because it's saying out of all of them tested together, this is something that the innate intelligence has identified as important. Then it says a kidney flush. And then it gives a homeopathic for digestion, antimonium crudum, and some different potencies. You've got beryllium as a mineral that is for some reason needed. It could be detox, could be that it's needed at a micro level. Coral calcium, my lymphatics clear and thrive. Birch essential oil, chromosome 5q, coral red, the iliofemoral muscle of the hip area. Skull cap to relax, energizing brain cells. So even though it's from the Stop Smoking Success Frequency program, it doesn't mean it has to be for smoking. This is just an energy that she needs at this time, even if she does not smoke. Tarragon, vitality, insulin resistance, detachment, medicinal mushrooms, a medicinal mushroom. And so you would look through this and you'd see what kinds of things do you see as a pattern? What kinds of things do you see as important? Are there things that go together? So you could look through this. You could also capture some of them. You could pull some of them into the main whole tray and retest them. I probably wouldn't do maybe more than 20, but you can bring those in and then test them in Progressive Insights. So I think this is really wonderful that this has been added. We're going to look at some ways to change this a little bit in just a moment, but you can learn a lot from the general overview. Now, I think if you just wanted to look at system overview and you didn't want to include the libraries, you would be able to do that. So let's go ahead and let's include all of these. So I said 10 on the top 10. I think it could be 20 on the top, 20 on the bottom. So I correct myself, could be 20 of the highs and 20 of the lows. Neem oil, very interesting. The ethmoidal nerve. These are things we could never probably intellectually sort out in our minds that would be important, that would be helpful. So it's really incredibly powerful to be able to take the genius and give it, say, you take the lead, you tell me what's important. Now I think we can remove this. If we remove the library, then it actually takes out everything from the custom libraries, and it now only gives us what's in the system overview. So that may be interesting as well to just take a look at and see if there's anything that seems significant just in this analysis, because no harm, no foul, just looking in this and seeing if there's any patterns to be seen here. So we've got the flora in the gut, we've got iodine, and I did see something about the thyroid in the custom libraries. Black cohosh is a classic menopausal herb, and just sort of see if there's water violet might be an important flower essence for her right now. There we go. Ghrelin, okay, good hormone. And then let's do one more. So without the libraries now, let's go ahead and we can tap once at the top and we can see all the lows. So we can see there's that inflammation she was talking about right here. And we've got epinephrine, ashwagandha, good for the adrenals, all attachments release. That's a new one, I think, that's been added to spiritual protection. We better go over and take a look at that as well. So we've got some other flower essences. Let's see, the Spleen Meridian. So we just pick up things there. So it can work. Let's just go ahead and we'll switch it back. It can work. This is giving us low to high. So let's go high to low. That will switch back. And then add the libraries back in. So now it would give us the analysis with the libraries included. So very cool stuff. Just for fun, we'll go ahead and we can go right to the progressive insights. And let's just go ahead and see out of these items what comes up as a high prioritization. And we have a lot of other things to talk about. All right, so all of these come up as high. That's interesting. Wow, that's really interesting. If we just slow down for a minute, because these came from the very top of the general overview and the very bottom, the lowest of the general overview. And it's interesting that utilizing those yielded us a preponderance of very high priority. And let me explain again about progressive insights. In progressive insights, you're getting the true high items, not just the theoretical highs. So true high items here that are of high priority. And these ones are being identified as lower priority. So the inflammation, she's probably working on it, but actually it might not be as much of an issue as she was thinking. So we can now use these big, wonderful buttons right here to just get our high items here. Let's see if that works. And then Jing, if you want to put your email address, if you have a Quantum Capsule, into the chat, we could send these to you. We're probably going to do a couple of exports. We could start with this one. So export to the capsule net. So now instead of saying share, it's very specific. It says export to the capsule, leaving no doubt at all what that button is for. Thank goodness. So I'm not sure it's active at this time. It looks like it is. Yeah, this is really shaping up to be a wonderful upgrade. Very, very excited. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll put Jing's email in here. Oops. And we can send all those high frequencies to her. We'll probably do another export for you, Jing, in just a little while. So very, very cool. So Sophie says, does that mean the client-centered library should not be shared with all clients to stay specific if using general overview? what you can do is if you have a client-centered library, I wouldn't put there a specific, I would not put first and last names if possible, maybe first name and last initial. And obviously I wouldn't point that out to another person, or I wouldn't maybe take that into account, but the sub-library still could be utilized. So usually in a sub-library, you haven't really put personal information in there as far as I can imagine. It's going to be up to you. We'll talk about how to remove specific libraries from the custom library testing matrix in just a moment. And I'm going to assume that's going to carry over into the general overview. So a sub-library is, for example, if I have a library called adaptogens, a sub-library would be the items contained within the library, like ashwagandha or reishi or Panax ginseng. So when I refer to a sub-library, it is an item within that particular library. Now, I have a few other things to talk about just from the system overview. And let's see. Okay, the visual is so much better. It's enlarged. Maybe this report shows the highlights from the general overview. Yeah, we'll have to get more into the reports later. So now we're going to go back. And I want to make sure that I show you something that there's been a question about a lot for probably years. So, and that question is, what happens when you drag a single item into the main hold tray? So drum roll. Now, when you add a single item like a full library, it is going to bring the entire library into the tray. So let's take a look at that. We have all these items that we just tested. And maybe let's do something that's not too long, wouldn't be too disruptive here. So let's do all the solfeggio tones. So when we tap on solfeggio tones here, we can see all of the sub items. So there's usually either 8 or 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now what we're going to do is we're going to drag this, right? And what it does is it shows us, let's actually undo the chevron for a moment. We're going to drag this. And we have we have 43 items. So 43 and 9 should be 52. Let's see. 53. Oh, it adds for some reason, it adds the title frequency as well. So it's going to add solfeggio tones in there as well. So it's going to be a total of 10. So it's added all of those. So we could do the same thing with the Nogiers. If we bring it in, it's going to bring in all of the Nogiers. So it's going to be 8 plus 1 is 9. 53 and 9 should be 62. There we go. Now we got the mathematics correct. So that's something that now there's no more question. When you do that, it brings all of the libraries. I tried to argue to just, why isn't it just the reds and the blues from that particular library? Because that's what biofeedback is, about reds and blues, but it was overridden. So what we're doing there is we're just doing all the libraries from that particular, and that's what I would call a sub-library, Mardell. So I would call in the Nogiers, all the Nogiers in here. These are the sub-libraries of the Nogier library. And so we'll bring all of them when you select the actual Nogier itself and bring it into the tray. Okay, now let's stop here and note that within the tray itself, now we can export to the capsule. So we can export to the capsule here. Let's send her another export. So now from the main hold tray, this is very convenient. If you just want to send something from the main hold tray, you can go ahead and send it to the main hold tray. So let's see if that comes up. And so then we can grab her email again. Oh, you guys, hang on here. Don't go away. I have to restart the webinar. So don't go away. We'll be right back. And just keep on keeping on. We'll come right back and pick up where we started. Okay. All right. We are back. So sorry about that. So just too much technology at one time. Let's go ahead and try again. And so what I was just showing was the now you can easily export to the Quanta capsule in so many ways that make it so much easier. Thanks for sticking around, everybody. We just took a second there just to regroup and get back into the class. And let's go ahead and look at the iPad. There we go. Oh my goodness. Fun stuff. Let's go ahead and move this back in here. Okay, so we were just looking at, this is really cool because now we can sort of export from anywhere and it just makes it a lot easier. So I think you're going to find with your practice, that's going to be even more enjoyable. Okay, oh, thanks for reminding me that we need to keep recording this. Oh, you're wonderful. Thank you so much. And I think we've continued to live stream that whole time. So we've been live streaming since that. Okay. So thank you so much, Wendy and Kathleen and Sue. I really appreciate it. So now, Jing, go ahead and add your email again, because now it's not in the chat. So we're just going to need your email again so we can go ahead and do this. All right. So actually, let me show what I did while she is adding, hopefully, her email address, if she's still with us there. Or I can just, there it is. Thank you so much. You're on top of it, Jing. I appreciate it. Okay. So what I did, and let's get the annotation spotlight back here. Okay. All right. Export to Quanta Capsule is now right in the main whole tray. We don't even need to go to Progressive Insights if we don't want to. It will export everything in the main whole tray. I want to show you something else about that. And you're going to, okay, let's hope that this works. Please work. I think that we may not be able to do that from here. I'm not going to try this again because that might be what crashed it. All right. So it is obviously it's integrating with a lot of different technology here. And so there probably is a lot of sort of bandwidth that's being taken up to do this. Okay. So let's go ahead and get that on there. So we add it. And then there we go. And so that's going to send another export to her Quanta capsule. So just for fun, keep the fun going here. So now we can close this tray down here. And now, bum, ba-da-bum, big drum roll. If we open up our quick zap, suppose we did want to send all the solfeggio tones in a separate playlist. Now we don't have to worry about clearing our tray, worry about what's in the main whole tray, big to do. All we have to do now, I'm actually not going to do it, but all we'd have to do is just export to the capsule from the quick zap. So you can do it from the quick zap. You can do it from the main whole tray. You can do it from Progressive Insights. You can export from anywhere. I think that that's a wonderful addition that's going to make it so much easier in your practice. So let's also look at that spiritual protection for a moment, because we did notice a change. Oh, that's interesting. Ryan has been very kind in that he really does listen very closely to the community. Let's go over some of these. He's actually put into here, and this is what feedback, I think, it's not my feedback, but somebody has given this to him. All non-beneficial cords are now cut. That's interesting that that was changed. This is the same. All negative energies cleared. That's great. Arc protection. All psychic attack cleared. Grounding. All dark energy cleared. Now remember, surround and protect is FTHG, is for the highest good. I don't know why he doesn't just write that out. That would be easy enough to write out. All entities cleared. All attachments released. Embracing the light. And healing, chanting in invocations as opposed to non-healing ones. So they have changed a bit. I kind of like those changes. Those are good languaging in there. And let's go ahead and look at the aura. And so it looks like the aura, that picture has gotten larger. We didn't have Jing's picture today, but you can imagine it would be right in the center there. So let's take a look at that. I don't think there's been too much of a change, but might as well go ahead and get that aura picture on there. And then we're going to look at the custom library functions. Okay, that's interesting. So yeah. Okay, so this has changed. Gosh. And so I guess that the aura is going to look, they may have actually sort of cut this in a way that it just appears more like an actual aura. So I'm going to have to check with the developer on this. I don't know what these particular changes mean at this time. So obviously it's quite different. So I'm going to have to visit with him. We do see a beautiful purple field around. That's a really, really high vibrational sort of opening in that sixth chakra. And then we sort of have some brownish around the end. That could be the inflammation. Just could be sort of a weary exhaustion. We have a very solid light blue in the center, and that would be more associated with the throat chakra. But I'm gonna have to do some research and sort of, and so Sophie says they're shaped like that on the Android. It does look like maybe what the developer is trying to do is make more parity between these two platforms, because before Android and Apple auras were so different and it was really confusing to people. Tammy says, my aura beta did not look like that. It looked normal. There was some cloudiness in the background. Audra says, I like this. Yeah, it is a very compelling image. So I'm going to have to check with the developer on this one. I also did not see that in my beta, but it's very classic for Ryan to sort of change things at the last moment. And I think he noted that there was, when this was white, that you couldn't see it. So he's actually changed that little checkout function there. This bar is right where I need to be. Okay, so now, before we go to the custom libraries, let's go to the menu bar. So when we go to the menu bar, let's go to the report. So there's the report that I have distributed, which was a drop-down PDF, has now been integrated into the program, which I think is good. And he's changed it a bit, taken it and given his own flair on that drop-down report. So let's go ahead and look at it. So we're going to go right here to the report function. And on the report function, he's giving you the voice format report. We don't have a lot of information on it. We'll need more information. The report that you see is going to be based on the screen that you're on. So right now it's showing you the system overview. I think if we'll go to a different one and see if it shows us something different. But this is what I think is important. You're going to like this. Quick overview report, click here. Okay. What it's going to do is it's going to pick up the very highest items for your client that came up at the top red. Solfeggio tones, 285. Nogier C, mesodermal tissue repair. So that's interesting, right? Because she said the inflammation from playing tennis. The crown chakra. So opening up spiritual connection. Working on having more confidence. Herbs, aloe for the digestive system. The reason that this is so wonderful is that it gives something you could send to your client with all the disclaimers. This is not medical information. That gives them something they can chunk their teeth into, as opposed to the different scatter graphs are not very real to them. This gives them, okay, I walked out with a flower essence for myself, an herb that I need, a mineral, amino acids, something about the connection to the theta. So I think these reports will be valuable to you as a practitioner. He also added some things about energy. So your energy level is an estimation of your current energy level for the day. The higher the score, the more energy you have for the day. Great energy level. Now, in degenerative energy, this is an estimation of the degenerative energy. This is the energy of oxidative stress, decaying energy from the cells going through oxidative stress. So I think you'd want this number to be low. And to Jing's credit here, is wonderful. It's showing a low. You don't want the degenerative energy to be high. And that kind of correlates with what we're seeing here, with the good kind of energy being high, the degenerative energy being low. As also nitro-oxidative stress could be considered to be part of this degenerative energy. On a cellular level, when the cells are functioning optimally, there will be some oxidative stress activity. However, an increase in the degenerative energy results in aging faster. Counterproductive energy. This is an estimation of the ability to convert your energy intake into resourceful energy. The amount of your energy spends on counteracting disruptive energies or imbalances. So this would be like sort of something like EMFs and things coming at you and having to sort of fight those influences off. So not really significant. It's sort of right at 50. An estimation of your inner terrain toxicity. Toxicity is the level of waste that your body has not eliminated. Toxicity can be in your tissues, your body, and so forth. So she's at about a 50. So we wouldn't want to see that number go higher than it would be time for a detox or detox frequencies. And we wouldn't want that counterproductive energy to go higher. So really cool. You could just go ahead and you have to have we can talk about this at another time, but you have to have the mail app. So the mail app is that little thing that looks like an envelope that if you have an Apple, you have to be connected to that particular mail app in order for this to work so it can integrate. So if you wanted to, you could go ahead and you could send it to her. I'm just getting her email again. And so you could just email this to her, and I would change, I think it's always better to kind of maybe pre-interpret it for the person. So you might want to get it in your email, do a little interpretation, and then send it to them. But if you wanted to, I probably would just change this. This is your genius report from our session today. And now I think it's a lot more digestible, understandable report, gives them a quick and dirty of the different things that came up high. I think it's going to be valuable for you as a practitioner. I think you may want to receive it in your own email first and make sure that your forward to them has a disclaimer. None of this information should be construed as any type of medical diagnosis. And we can give you a disclaimer on that and recommend some things. We'll definitely talk about that in Business Launchpad, but we'll certainly talk about it on the Monday trainings as well. Okay, so that's the report. And we were kind of on the menu here. We were looking at some of the report. We were kind of going down the menu items. So let's keep going. This is fun, right? Something to look forward to, something exciting. One of the most amazing things about the Genius is we don't charge for upgrades. Or updates. That's very different from what other companies do. When we come out with a new version, everybody gets the new version. Everybody's on the same page. Whether you got it 10 years ago, 5 years ago, it doesn't matter. Now you're going to be updated to the latest version. So now let's go ahead and let's look at the frequency, shape, and form. Frequency, shape, and form right here. Okay, beautiful. Now what we're going to have is new sounds. So you can play either the chimes and bells, or you might want to play the animal sounds, or you might want to play the nature sounds, or you might want to let the Genius select which sound would be the best. So let's see what happens if we choose animal sounds. I think it gives us a way to listen to it. Nope. Is it going to play it? Nope. Let's see if we will it let us unselect. See, I think it's going to let us unselect chimes and bells. So let's go back here and let's just play a quick balance. Not sure what animal that is, but it's going to play the chimes and the bells. It looks to me, and the animal sounds. It won't completely negate the original sounds. Let's go back once again. Yeah, it's for some reason, even though I unchecked, it's going to play it anyway. Let's go ahead and let's check nature sounds, and let's uncheck that one. Let's clear it completely. Okay, so now we've got nature sounds. Let's do the same thing. We'll play quick balance. Okay, I think that this functionality probably still leaves a little to be desired. I don't really hear the nature sounds that much. But the idea is to switch things up so people have different things to listen to. Let's try the super conscious effect. It's supposed to scan and tell us which sound would be the best for that person today, and then select it. Let's see what happens. So it's telling us nature sounds and chimes and bells. Let's go back here and see if there's any difference. So just play the quick balance. Now that sounds like I do hear the nature sounds now. I didn't hear them before. So you hear the crickets and night sounds. Well, I'm sure that the developer is going to be working on improving that. So that's in frequency, shape, and form. You can clear and then select the ones that you want. I think, maybe with the ambient soundscapes, maybe it brings, let's see what happens if we, just for curiosity, if we bring the sound up when we do this. Yeah, maybe we're hearing it a little bit more if you crank that sound up. So let's go ahead. Let's go back once more. And I'll just leave it on 50. Now, let's listen to the difference with the tone. So if we activate the sonic signatures, let's see if there's any change that is audible here. Yeah, so I don't really love the sonic signatures. I think it's just the straight playing of the frequencies without the additional harmonic tones. Yeah, so I've never been really a fan of that. So that's the sonic signatures. Let's go ahead once more and let's switch it over to our Archetype Encoding. Let's see what that sounds like. Wow, that's kind of interesting. So with the archetype, it looks like the chimes that we don't hear the chimes and bells. Let's try one more time. If we restore it to the default, I guess I'm going to have to find out a little bit more. The developer, he did explain it somewhat on this morning's meeting, but it was not super helpful. Oh, it does give you the sound preview right here. Okay, that's the default. Now let's hear let's hear the sonic signature. I just don't love the sound of that. And I think it's like more minimalistic with less of the overlay tones and less of the harmonics. Okay, now let's listen to the Archetype Encoding. This one I find really compelling. It's not playing any of the chimes and bells, but I'm going to have to find out more about the exact meaning. He did explain it today to me, it was not very clear, but I find this very compelling. I actually kind of get a very high vibration from this particular one. You can see for yourself when we get this out there. Now we can share the link, I think, to the latest beta on Apple. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to find the Android, but I'll do my best. And we'll talk about the prospects of playing with it over the weekend if you want to do that. But it'll definitely be out, the developer says, on Monday. So we should be good. All right, let's turn that off. And then there's some binaural beats that can help with particular issues, addictions, allergy management, chakra support, deep sleep, and relaxation. So I think it plays by default. If you don't turn it down to 0, then the binaural isochronic tones play by default. And then it gives you the option to do the waveform. The one that we've typically selected is just the alternating waveform, so it can go through. Now we have on our trainings, we've talked about sine wave is usually when you're working on something physical, it will entrain the physiological perfection of your own sort of the wave in the body tends to be a sine wave, like it is for the heart, like it is for the brain. A square wave is excellent when you're working on an infection, like if you're working on Lyme or something. Most Rife machines are generating a square wave. And then sawtooth is going to be great if you're trying to break up like muscle achiness or emotional blocks, things like that. So it's good for sort of breaking up stuff, breaking up adhesions and things like that. But you can get the benefit of all of them by simply choosing the alternating waveform. Okay, so that is frequency, shape, and form. Remember, we're just really talking about the new stuff today. So let's continue on and we can go to the libraries themselves. And we're going to go to the custom libraries here. So let's go ahead and test the custom libraries. We'll look at some of your questions here. Okay, do we need to go to the App Store to install the Mail app? Yes, you do. You might even already have it installed, but if not, just go to the App Store and look for Mail app, look for that little envelope. And that will help you. Then you can email to your clients. You can send the email from the Genius to your clients. Okay, it usually comes as a default on any Apple device. Do the selected sounds transfer to the Quantum Capsule? I think the answer on that is no. So it's a good question. But I think in the future, the next project to work on after this update is going to be an big update to the Quantum Capsule, which probably will have sound choices. So it's a great idea. Okay, so confused about the custom libraries since our created libraries are referred to as custom libraries. Yes, this just goes back to the history of the Genius. Custom libraries are created libraries. Custom libraries is going to encompass whether you've created them or you've acquired them from like geniusbiofeedback.com. all of those are collectively referred to as custom libraries. It's just a sort of a random name that the developer came up with years ago, and we've just sort of stuck with it historically. Okay, so you can see all of the different libraries that have come up from high to low. I do think that that general overview is more useful because it actually investigates all the sub-libraries and then stacks them up from high to low. I think that's even more valuable in some ways, maybe than this sort of ranking. I mean, they both can be valuable. You can use them in different ways. That being said, now let's look at the new features that are included here. So obviously some thicker lines. So the visuals are bigger, but what we really want to do is we want to drop down right here and take a look at this. Oh, my goodness. Okay. So I think if you hit this delete, you can delete items that you don't want tested. I'm a little afraid to do this. Items that you don't want tested. So if we did this, it removes items from the system overview page only created in libraries, and shared libraries remain intact. Thank goodness. So it should bring up this ability. I think maybe it's not functional right now. Let's try it one more time. This is part of the beta process. So we'll click on it. Yeah, it should bring up. Let's see if we can search for it. Yeah, there's obviously this is a beta issue. So if you didn't want to have any of the animal testing libraries show up for your client, you'll be able to delete them. It won't delete them from your system. It'll just delete them from that client's profile, as far as what I understand so far. So that's what the little delete button is for. It's always scary to hit a delete button, right? All right. So then now here is something that's very interesting. If you select this function here that says all, this is really a cool feature. You will now be able to do a deep search that will go through all the libraries and find any mention of a particular item in every library. So if we wanted to search for anything related to digestion, let's just do digest. It will bring up every, so it's going to bring up, oh yeah. So it shows us apple cider vinegar that's in the digestion library. Let's see how this works. All right, well, it actually doesn't tell us. It's not telling us where it's coming from. So this is an overarching library. All right, nothing is perfect. Let's also see if we searched for an herb, if we search for ginseng. So it gives us Siberian ginseng. I'm trying to think of where. I think this might not be exactly what we want it to be. Let's search for hormones. So it gives us every library, but what we really want is the sub-library. So this is probably not perfect to what we actually want, but it does show us every library that has a mention of the word hormone, even if it's in a sub-library beneath it. I'm just trying to cycle through and think what would be what we would want, what people are looking for. Maybe it would be tinnitus. So, okay, so now we can see clear tinnitus assessment, tinnitus caused by trapped anger, anything having to do with tinnitus, maybe blood pressure. You can see it's sort of similar. Well, all right. What it's supposed to be doing is searching for the name in any part of the library, whether it be a major part of the library or it be a sub part of the library. So I'm gonna have to investigate this a little bit more, but you get the idea of what it's trying to do. Whoops, let's go back to the libraries. So that's the all function. And then if you just wanted to search the libraries alone, you would just tap on libraries. This master branch is going to show you all the master branches. I didn't download any at the time. And you're going to be able to convert a master branch. If somebody exports something to you as a master branch, you're going to be able to, if you just tap on master branch, it'll be here. But when you tap on all, the sub libraries that were in the master branch. So if somebody sent a library to you, let's just say it had three libraries in the master branch. Let's say they're all related to blood pressure. So let's say blood pressure 1, blood pressure 2, blood pressure 3, they send it to you as a master branch and you imported it. And you're like, well, I don't just only want it included as the master branch. I want it included in my entire testing matrix. So now when you click all, it'll sort of unpack the master branch and put it into the main libraries, which I think is a great feature as well. Okay, so then very simple items over here. You can go from low to high. Okay, so it's going to show you the very, very lowest items there. Those are always great to observe. But it's going to be the library itself. And again, you'd have to go to general overview to see a stacking of items from high to low based on the entire system. Because when you go here, you've got your own ranking from high to low. So only looking at the individual items. So you probably want to switch back and forth between general overview and this overview to kind of do some different things. We'll go back to that general overview for anybody who missed it at the beginning. And then you've got this high also. This is going to be high to low, low to high, back to high to low. And then in alphabetical, in case you want to see it stacked up alphabetically, sort of starts in a weird alphabetical. So it starts here, so A to Z, or you can go from Z to A if you wanted to do that. So interesting. And then I think that's really about it. We're sort of at the top of the hour. So I'll take any questions that you have and I'll sort of see if I missed anything. And then we'll just sort of maybe just look at some of the panels themselves as we're sort of talking here. So take a moment, see if any questions about anything that I went over, and then we'll just sort of look at these, see if there's anything that pops out as being very significantly new as we sort of look at these, and then we'll look at that general overview again. So this looks, I think there's an addition to the brain panel that's significant. So the brain panel only contained a few items. Wow, is the brain on here or has it disappeared? Is it in mind? Maybe brain is in the mind, brain EEG. So brain anatomy is in the mind. That's weird. It actually should be in the body, but it's random. So brain anatomy has been greatly expanded, and it didn't include all of this before. So now it includes a lot more anatomical parts in the brain. So that's good to know. Let's see. There may have been some emotions added as well. You'll kind of look through this yourself. Bach flower essences looks about the same. And let's see. Infectious disturbance looks about the same. Electrical sensitivities, all the same. Digestion. And maybe look at organs. Yeah, everything looks for that. It looks very, very similar. I don't see too many changes. Okay, and just remind you, we looked at this, right? About those are the different reports that he's still kind of working on. Then in the general overview, just to quickly recap on that, you can go to the general overview and you can see everything from high to low. And that's really a different perspective than just seeing them stacked one library on top of the other in the custom libraries. Okay, I love this idea of visual geometry, the option to play with the frequency work, and found that playing frequency and visual super healing. Yes, I think you're right. There is something significant to that visual algorithm. And it is some, different. It's often different from one balancing to the next. Let's see where I left that frequency, shape, and form. Oh, on archetype encoding. Let's go back to the default. And interesting, but the algorithm remains the same. Okay, great comment there. The class you spoke about at the beginning, if we decide to purchase it, I have the beta version, not the old one. Will that make a difference in learning? No, it won't make a difference at all. For the business launchpad, and no, it won't make a difference at all. Are we getting the new version on Monday? This coming Monday. So what should happen on Monday, if all goes well, when you go to log on Monday, it will give you an automatic update. You'll have to update to the new version. So if you wish, if you wish to do that, that will be available at that time. Now let's see if we can find the beta version here. And let me see if I can find it. So this should be the latest beta version. And this is only for Apple. So I don't think I may be able to find the Android version, but I'm not positive. So this is the Apple beta. Now, if you're somebody who you're technically savvy, you're adventurous, you can try this. Let me explain some of the things you need to do to use this Apple beta version. So if you want to just start using everything that we just used today, you can download this link. And what you need to do is delete before you download it, you need to, let's see, instructions. Log out of your Genius. Log now, okay, download beta version. Log in and restore all databases. Okay, so that's, you should, be like clear that you're okay if there's some glitches. Maybe you don't have clients depending on you, to have it perfect. Okay, let's see if I can find this may not be the latest one, Gail, but I do have a version for you. So if it's not the latest one, it's from a couple of days ago. So what I'm saying is pretty close. So here's the Android beta. Okay, so that is a pretty close rendition. You're very welcome. Okay, awesome. So you can play with it over the weekend if you want to. And then if not, if you don't want to, and then you'll have the new version on Monday. Exciting, exciting. You can watch this over again on YouTube. And of course, in the Monday training, we're going to be going over this information again. So we're going to be testing another person working on this. And I think that the developer, worked on a long time. I think it was well worth the time that he took to work on it. I think it's going to be a great addition to what we're doing in the Genius. It's going to help you in your practice. And I think you're just going to have a whole heck of a lot of fun with it. So enjoy if you're doing the beta version or just checking it out over the weekend, enjoy that. And I appreciate you being part of our Genius community, and have a wonderful weekend, everybody. And we'll see you on Monday for the Monday training. Take care, everyone. Thank you.